Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
It's in our blood, it's in our bones, orange and brown, yeah, we ride for our own like a dog pack running. We ain't alone, game day comes, get ready for the show. It's our call, it's our bark, it's our song. We stand tall, yeah, we've been here all along. Through it all, the dog pound standing strong. We all dogs, yeah, we all dogs. Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reniker, Justin Shawls, Kenny Mack, and Josh All. We all dogs!
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, your host today. I hope everybody has had some time to recover, to digest, to lament, and just come to terms with everything that has transpired this week. Obviously, Myles Garrett getting sent out of Cleveland on Monday to Los Angeles in a trade with the Rams that brought back Jared Verse, the edge rusher, 2-year edge rusher, young guy from the Rams, along with their 2027 first-round pick, 2028 second-round pick, and their 2029 conditional third-round pick, which I talked about on a short video the other day, but I will mention here in just a second as well. But today on the episode, what I want to do is touch on some of the details that have come out about the trade since it happened here over the last couple of days. And today's primary focus is going to be Jared Verse. Who is Jared Verse? Let's talk about him. Let's go through his history. I want everybody to understand who this new player is that the Browns have acquired. And by the time I go through all of his information and his history and stats and stuff like that, I hope we all have a new appreciation for who he is and some of the things that he said at his first press conference yesterday, which I was impressed with him sitting in front of the media in a new city, a new team, and he's just a very strong young leader, I guess is how I will put it for now. But let's dive into, first of all, I mentioned this here at the top, that conditional third-round pick, right? So when the official trade hit the actual NFL transaction wire, Mary Kay Cabot, I think, was the first one to really notice that, hey, wait a minute here. The third-round pick in 2029 is listed as conditional. So everybody's like, oh, what's the condition? What is it if like Myles Garrett makes a pro or all pro in 2 years or something? It turns into a second-round pick or whatever. No. So the conditional third-round pick is the poison pill, very similar to what the Dallas Cowboys did last year when they traded the Micah Parsons over to the Green Bay Packers. Andrew Berry put a little clause into the trade with the Rams that if the Rams were to ever trade Myles Garrett back into the AFC North to a rival, so if they would ever trade Myles Garrett to the Bengals, the Ravens, or the Steelers, that third-round pick in 2029 would become a first-round pick. Okay, so that's the poison pill. That's what Dallas did with Micah Parsons. They didn't want to see him back in the NFC East, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's what Andrew Berry did here with Myles Garrett. Now, is it a worry that the Rams were ever going to trade Myles Garrett, period? No. Are they ever going to trade him back to the AFC North? No. So this is really a nothing burger, but still a little interesting tidbit, a little clause that Andrew Berry did put in to this trade with the Rams. So that's what that's all about. Now, I want to talk about some of the information that's come out about the trade. Before I do, make sure you guys go to jointhedogs.com if you want to be part of our Discord Dog Pack community. Get over there on the Patreon. It's a great way to help support the show. But the big thing is right now, fantasy football registration is going on as we speak. Registration just opened on Monday, and already we've got 5 leagues filled up and ready to go for the fantasy football season here this year. So get in now and reserve your spot. All you have to do is be a part of the Dog Pack, and you can sign up for the fantasy football leagues. The only stipulation, of course, you got to be in the Dog Pack, a member of the Patreon throughout the duration of the football season. You can't just join, sign up, and leave. It doesn't work like that. But everybody in there is awesome. Sync up with the private Discord. Hang out with all the Dog Pack members. It is the most fantastic group of Browns fans in an online community that you're going to find. Great people, like I said, diehard fans, and there's conversations going on 24/7 about anything and everything, especially with the Browns this past week with the Myles Garrett news and the trade and everything. That was the place to be. So head over to jointhedogs.com and sign up now if you want to play fantasy football with us this season. All right, so let's talk about this trade. So we kind of figured, and it was confirmed, this trade has been in the works for a long time. Discussions about the Myles Garrett trade with the Rams, that picked up in late March when, the Browns moved back Myles Garrett's bonus date to September. Again, guys, listen to Jack Duffin at the OBR. I have no affiliation with Jack Duffin I don't get paid to push him or to push his work. I'm just telling you guys from my own experience, when it comes to contract-related stuff, Jack Duffin is the only one I will trust. I don't trust Mary Kay. I don't trust Tony Grossi. I don't trust Ken Carmen. I don't trust anybody else other than Jack Duffin. And as soon as that contract, or as soon as the roster bonus got pushed back, Jack Duffin immediately said, okay, trade window has been extended. That's the only reason you do this. The only reason you would push back a bonus is to elongate a trade opportunity window, and that is exactly what happened. So as soon as that happened, the Rams came right back to the Browns. Now, they had already been talking to them. Sean McVay has said, or he did say, that Myles Garrett is one of his favorite players of all time. The Rams inquired about Myles Garrett clear back in 2022. But obviously, back then, the Browns said no. That was, the first year that we had Deshaun Watson. Things were supposed to be awesome, and we were supposed to have this great elite level quarterback that was going to take us to the promised land. And that did not obviously happen. But there has been interest for a while from the Rams side in Myles Garrett. At the league meetings this past offseason, Sean McVay was all over Andrew Berry about Myles Garrett, and the two sides have been going back and forth ever since then. Apparently, the Browns and the Rams were so confident that a trade would get done, it led the Rams to selecting quarterback Ty Simpson with the 13th overall pick, knowing that they would be losing future draft capital in the trade, and they wanted to have a Matthew Stafford succession plan in place before doing it. So, and again, the information I'm talking about right now, this was in an article from Zach Jackson at The Athletic. He got all this information and wrote about it, so this is really good stuff, but I mean, the big takeaway is the trade didn't just come out of nowhere. And, obviously the Browns were at their golf outing on Monday. Andrew Berry was out on the course. He's out on the links. He's not in the office fielding trade calls or working the deal with the Rams on Monday. This was already done. They met with Myles Garrett on Saturday to let him know that the trade was happening and to thank him for the 9 years that he spent in Cleveland, everything he'd done for the organization, all that stuff. So this was done. This deal did not come out of left field. This had been in place for quite a while. So a Rams team source, going back to the Rams, feeling confident enough that they were going to be losing future capital for Myles Garrett, they said, let's just go ahead and take Ty Simpson now while we have the chance to get a quarterback. A team source within the Rams organization said, quote, if you're going to trade future first-round picks for a player, you had better know who your quarterback is going to be. But coming out of that trade, Andrew Berry, he had his press conference the other day talk about it. He didn't just want a slew of draft picks. He wanted Jared Verse, who we're going to talk about at length today. And that was the only thing in this entire discussion that made Sean McVay hesitate. I think I saw where the Rams even said no to the Browns at one point. McVay said trading Jared Verse was the most difficult part of this entire deal. But ultimately, Los Angeles felt like they have a unique window here with Matthew Stafford over the next couple years and the rest of the roster to go win a title right now. Myles Garrett, obviously the best defensive player in the league. So again, like we said on Monday, this is a story of timelines. Myles Garrett, he is in a title-winning window. His timeline is winning a title right now. That's not the Browns' timeline. I mean, you can't really get mad at me for saying that. The Browns are not in a title-winning window right this minute. The Rams are. So it meets up very well, matches perfectly with Myles Garrett and his goals. Jared Verse, on the other hand, he is still in a developing window as a player with his prime years and his big title push times yet to come. Now, obviously, he wanted to be in L.A., playing for the Rams, winning Super Bowls right now. You never want to take that away from a young player. It's not what I'm saying. But he has a lot of years remaining. He hasn't even touched his prime years yet. Myles Garrett is firmly in the middle of his prime years, and he will be tapering off within the next 2 to 3. So does the whole thing suck for Browns fans? Yes. Yep. I wish the Browns were better, guys. I do. I don't know what else to say. I wish we could have won more games with Myles Garrett and we could actually be contenders right now. And hopefully with this new young core that we're building, we can be in the future, just not right this minute. So that's where the whole thing stands with Myles Garrett, this trade, and bringing Jared Verse over. I'm going to talk about his press conference. I think I'll get to that here toward the end of this. I got a whole bunch of notes here I want to go through about Jared Verse, but I think the big thing to understand going into this is Andrew Berry saw the value in Jared Verse as a player. And whenever I was hearing the rumors about trading Myles Garrett to the Rams, I immediately went to Jared Verse in my mind, and I even posted it on social media saying, okay, get me some first-round picks, but get me Jared Verse. Like, I don't even, like, the picks are secondary. I want Jared Verse. Because if you're going to take away our best, first of all, our best player, but obviously our best edge defender, that leaves us with Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire, and that's it. We have no top-end edge players on this team. You gotta get one in return. And that player for me was obviously Jared Verse, and Andrew Berry was the exact same way. He wanted that good young player. I mean, guys, this is a dude that's going into his 3rd season. And like we said on Monday, that's why this trade feels so weird. It is a weird trade because, number one, players like Myles Garrett don't usually get dealt. But the situation is what it is. He's on a bad team or a team that's just not winning consistently. He's at a point in his career where he's ready to go win a title. And it's weird. It's a weird trade because you don't see players like Jared Verse ever get traded. 2 years in the league, defensive rookie of the year, 2 straight Pro Bowls, an up-and-coming ascending edge defender in this league with 3 years of control on his rookie deal. Players like that never get moved, ever. But the Rams valued Myles Garrett that highly and felt that he was that big of a missing component to their title dreams that they went ahead and did it. They didn't want to do it, but they did. So now we got him. We got Jared Verse. Myles Garrett is gone. It sucks. It is always going to suck. You never want to lose that type of player from your team. But he's gone. So we have to stare reality in the face and say, okay, we can be upset about it. We can be this or that. Or just say, okay, he's gone. He's gone. We had a lot of fun when he was here. 9 years, almost a decade of Myles Garrett. Hall of Fame career. Sack king, set the sack record. Gave us a whole lot of things to be excited about on Sundays. It was a fun ride. He's gone. But there is a new fun ride in town, and his name is Jared Verse. Let's go through this. Verse is 6'4", 265 pounds, 25 years old. He's going to turn 26 this year in November during the season. So He was a slightly older rookie when he came into the league back in 2024. Why was he an older rookie? Verse was part of the COVID redshirt year that most college players experienced during that time span. He started college football in the FCS at Albany as a 0-star recruit. No FBS offers, no scholarships, or anything like that. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as we go through this. And maybe drop it in the comments. You might already know where I'm going with this. Who does this also sound like that plays for the Browns right now as well? 0-star recruit. So he redshirted at Albany as a freshman in 2019, and then he was only able to play in 4 games in 2020 because, again, COVID cut the season short. So basically, he started his college career at an FCS program with 2 straight redshirt seasons. Like that is a very sucky way to start a college career for an aspiring athlete in football. But 2019, like I said, only got to play in 4 games. But in those 4 games, he showed the ability that we have now witnessed on Sundays with the Rams. In those 4 games, Jared Verse had 22 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. So Verse didn't really see a full season of college football until his 3rd year at Albany in 2021. He played 11 games, had 52 tackles, 11.5 TFLs, and 10.5 sacks. He forced a fumble, and he earned FCS Freshman All-American and First Team All-CAA honors. So think about that. His 3rd year in college football, and he earns FCS Freshman All-American because he hasn't played yet. He was still technically a redshirt freshman, even though it was 3rd year into college football. So anyway, Verse decides to transfer to Florida State Division I football in 2022. And what does he do in that first full season in a major D1 program? 48 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks. He was voted as the team's defensive MVP, first team All-ACC, and was an All-American that season. And a lot of scouts figured he was going to come out, declare for the NFL, and be one of the top edge rushers, potentially be a first-round pick after that one season at Florida State. But he decided to go back to school one final year because he wanted to be, this is from what I've read, he wanted to be not maybe a first-round pick. He wanted to be the edge number 1 in his draft class. So that's why he went back in 2023 to do it again, and it was a rinse and repeat season for Jared Verse. 41 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, and 9 more sacks. Once again, the team's defensive MVP, first team All-ACC, All-American for the 2nd straight season. Then, of course, he declared for the draft in 2024. He was a first-round pick, 19th overall selection by the Los Angeles Rams. Verse was actually the only first-round pick the Rams have made, or that they made over a 9-year stretch. So basically, think about the length of time that we had Myles Garrett, 9 years on our team. That's the amount of time the Rams went without a first-round pick, except for one, and it was Jared Verse. This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. All right, Browns fans, we've all messed around with the sports books before, right? And let's be honest, you're always kind of playing against the house. But with Kalshi, it's different. You're not betting against some sports book. You're trading against other real-world people. There's no house trying to beat you. Kalshi just runs the marketplace. So if you think the public is wrong, like everybody's overreacting to these smoke screens in the draft or sleeping on a prospect, you can literally take the other side of the market. And it's not just sports either. You can trade on other real-world stuff, interest rates, inflation, even wild weather outcomes. It works like this. Simple yes or no markets, your risk is capped up front, and your payout is locked in. So if you trust your takes and instincts, and I know you guys do, go check out Kalshi and see what markets are live right now. So head over to Kalshi.com/dogs, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS. Deposit just $20, and Kalshi's going to match you. They're going to put $20 free into your account. That's a great deal to get started. So again, Kalshi.com/dogs, $20 match when you deposit $20 into your account. This episode is sponsored by Trollco. Browns fans, there's a phrase that has been used around the blue-collar world forever. Dirty hands, clean money. The idea that you show up, you put in the work, and you build your ideal life because of it. Sound familiar? That is Brown's country. And Troll Co. is a clothing brand built around that very belief. Two guys who worked the oil patch looked around and could not find a single brand that represented people like them. So they started making workwear, tees, hoodies, and hats all by themselves. You know, gear for the person who works hard all week and still brings that same energy to the tailgate on Sundays. And I know I'm talking Cleveland in general, but Northeast Ohio is that blue-collar, work hard, earn what you have area. Whether it's you or somebody you know, a family member, your dad, your brother, uncle, whatever the case may be, you guys know what that dirty hands, clean money phrase truly means. So check out what they have to offer. Head to trollco.com/dogs. That's TROLLCO.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use code DOGS25 for 25% off your first order.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
So did Verse achieve his goal of being the first edge defender, first pass rusher off the board in his draft class? No, Laiatu Latu, drafted at pick 15 to the Indianapolis Colts. I believe he was I think I got that right. Was the first one taken. Then the Minnesota Vikings took Dallas Turner. He's listed as linebacker, but I believe he's more that outside linebacker, edge rusher type spot at 17. Then Jared Verse, obviously at 19. But if you go back now, so I always like doing this, especially when the Browns acquire a new player, and see what do scouts and analysts think a year after the draft, 2 years after the draft, because these media outlets always do, well, let's go redraft the 2020 whatever draft 2 years later, and how would it go, and all this kind of stuff. So I think it was January of 2025, so that would have been right after that 2024 season. They did I think it was NFL.com did a redraft of the 2024 draft, and Jared Verse went 8th overall in their redraft, basically going back and saying, well, if every team knew what they know now, how would this draft order go? And he went 8th overall and was the first defensive player, period, in the entire draft. Obviously, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year, so, I mean, he's probably going to be the top guy off these redraft boards. And then Bleacher Report did one this past February, so that would be 2 years removed from the 2024 draft. And they had Jared Verse going 5th overall. If teams could go back and redraft, knowing what they know now about these players with 2 years of information, Jared Verse would have been the 5th overall pick. So now does that, maybe you're like, Josh, that doesn't really matter. Who cares about that stuff? That's fine. That's fair. But I'm just telling you this to reiterate how highly people think of Jared Verse as a player. That's the main point with all of that. Now, here's some more notes on Jared Verse. I'm sure by now a lot of you probably know this, you've probably heard, but Jared Verse is an Ohio native. He was born in Dayton, Ohio, back in 2000. Good God, do I feel old. Born in 2000. All right, anyway. So born in Dayton, grew up in Berwick, Pennsylvania. So in high school, Jared Verse played both ways in football as a defensive end on the defensive side, and he was a tight end on offense. At Central Columbia High School, Verse earned 3 straight All-Pennsylvania Heartland Athletic Conference honors. He also played basketball in high school. Again, little PSA, parents, don't let your kids just hyper-focus on one sport. They need the skills and the lessons that come from all the different activities. So get them a more well-rounded experience playing sports. Jared Verse, not just football, not just basketball, he also ran track, which, when I was reading about this, I'm trying to picture this 6'5". He was probably 250 pounds or something when he was in high school, picturing this guy running track. But, then I went and I watched the highlights. I watched him, his blocked kick return for a touchdown last season that he had. Okay. Yeah, he can move. This kid can run. So he was a state champion on the 4x400 meter relay team. And to go back to another note here, that field goal block that I just mentioned was against the Falcons and Zane Gonzalez last season. Some of you might remember Zane Gonzalez was once the kicker for the Browns. All kinds of little ties out there. You got to love it. Now moving forward here, 2024 draft. His draft profile gave him a 6.73 grade during the 2024 pre-draft season. That was the 5th highest grade in the entire class. So offense, defense, quarterbacks, receiver, whatever, because I think Malik Neighbors was the number 1 highest in that class. Jared Verse, number 5, 5th overall graded player in the entire class. He was obviously the highest graded player of any defensive guy in that draft. Now, to put that into perspective this season, the highest graded defensive player in 2026 was David Bailey, who had a 6.78 grade. So Verse had a 6.73, went 19th overall. David Bailey went number 2 overall with a 6.78 grade. So just a few ticks higher than Verse, but again, went number 2 versus 19. Yes, I know the lack of quarterbacks in this class did play a part in some of that, but still. In 2017, though, let's just keep reality where it is. Myles Garrett was graded with a 7.5. He was listed before he was ever drafted. His prediction, his grade said perennial all-pro player. And that, again, was before he was ever even drafted, just as a prospect. So he was just on a whole other level. There will never be another Myles Garrett. We're never going to see another Myles Garrett. But like I've said, Jared Verse is the best of the young crop of edge rushers that are currently ascending in the NFL. And I'm not just saying that to try to make Browns fans feel better about this player that we got. Like, trust me, I remember watching playoff games and the Rams play in the late slate in the afternoons and stuff like that. And I'm watching this kid the last 2 seasons just wreak havoc on offensive line. I'm like, man, this Jared Verse kid is freaking good. And I would get a little envious of the Rams. Of course, now I know we have Myles Garrett. Well, who am I to envy anybody else? But I've been wanting for years, I've been wanting the Browns to get a good young edge rusher to ascend and kind of be that heir apparent future DE1 for the team when Myles Garrett's no longer here or he retires or whatever the case might have been. We just could never get that guy. And I'm like, man, I want a good young player because I love Myles Garrett. He's the best in the league, probably the best to ever do it. But he ain't going to be able to do it forever. We need to get somebody in here that can take over that role in the future. And I'm watching this kid play for the Rams. Like, that's the type of dude I wish we had. And now we have him. So here are some of the more basic stats for Jared Verse. 2024, his rookie season, he had 66 tackles, 11 TFLs, 4.5 sacks with 18 quarterback hits, 2 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. He scored a touchdown on a 57-yard scoop and score against the Vikings. He was named to the Pro Bowl, which, interesting note here, in 2024, he was actually the only Rams player to make the Pro Bowl that season. And, obviously, he was the defensive rookie of the year. Yes, so the Browns now have the last 2 defensive rookies of the year on their defense with Jared Verse and Carson Swessinger. Hey, can we maybe make it 3 in a row with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren? I don't know. That'll be a fun thing to watch. 2025, Jared Verse came back with another fantastic campaign. 58 tackles, 11 TFLs, 7.5 sacks, 27 quarterback hits, 3 forced fumbles. He had that field goal block return for a TD against the Falcons. That one was 76 yards. This kid can giddy up and freaking go. If you go watch that clip, watch that highlight, I don't think I can play it on the show here, obviously for copyright purposes, but he comes through the line, blocks the kick, and has enough athleticism and awareness to spot the ball, scoop the ball, and go. 76 yards for a touchdown. So here's a stat that I found interesting when I was looking through everything. And I got a whole bunch of like stats and other things I want to mention. But first of all here, he had 17 missed tackles as a rookie. Now, obviously, he still had a D-Roy campaign, but 17 missed tackles, that could be better, right? Yes, it can be. In 2025, he missed just 4 tackles. He dropped that missed tackle rate from 20.5% clear down to 6.5% in one season. Now, I posted this yesterday. Blake said it on Monday's show, but this is worth looking at again. Let's compare, okay? Let me bring this up because I got it over here on my other screen. I want to compare Jared Verse, his first 2 seasons, with the first 2 seasons played by Myles Garrett. Okay, because then I thought that the way Blake laid this out on Monday was really well done. You cannot compare Jared Verse right now after just 2 years in the league to Myles Garrett right now after 9. Myles Garrett is a perennial All-Pro, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, future Hall of Famer. He's already had his Hall of Fame career before this, and he's still in his prime. Jared Verse is really just getting going. So let's go back and just look. What did Myles Garrett do in 2017 and 2018, his first 2 seasons, compared to 2024 and 2025, Jared Verse's first 2 seasons? So the sack total, obviously 20.5 sacks for Myles Garrett, 12 sacks for Jared Verse, so 8.5 fewer sacks for Jared Verse. But everything else, and this is the big thing about Jared Verse versus Myles Garrett that we really need to be honest about here. Jared Verse has a super high motor, and he plays every single down with absolute 100% effort. He is an incredible run defender. He has, I've seen so many people say this, but obviously Jake Burns at Browns Film Breakdown, his assessment means a little more because I trust him. I work with Jake and I know what he does over there. He talked about how Jared Verse's bull rush, his power rush move, is probably the best in the NFL already. He's played 2 years. So he wins with a lot of strength. And what I've seen a lot of scouts and analysts talk about with Jared Verse is if he can just work on his pass rush finesse moves a little bit, his sack numbers are going to go up because he generates crazy pressures on the quarterback. Crazy pressure numbers. We'll get to the pressure numbers here in a minute. They just don't convert to sacks. Now, he's also playing on a defensive line with Byron Young and Braden Fiske and some really freaking good players there in Los Angeles. So it's not quite the same situation where, in Cleveland, if a guy's getting a sack, it pretty much has to be Myles Garrett because nobody else is really able to do it the way, even close to how he does it. But Jared Verse generates pressure on the quarterback at a high rate. Just doesn't convert them all the time to sacks because, again, young, and his specialty is more power and force and things like that versus just being a straight up, what I want to say, like a dancer out there. He can dip and dive and slide past these tackles so well in these pass rush moves, and that's just what he needs to work on. And given everything that he's done and his makeup as a person, as a player, I expect him to work on it and to succeed. But get back to these stats here. Over their first 2 seasons, Jared Verse, 71 total tackles Oh, no, I'm sorry. 124 total tackles, combined tackles. 124. Myles Garrett, 75. Tackle for loss, Jared Verse had 22. Myles Garrett had 21. QB hits, Jared Verse, 45. Myles Garrett, 47. Neither one of them had an interception or anything like that. Myles Garrett knocked down 4 passes. Verse knocked down 3. Fumble recoveries, Jared Verse 2 to Myles Garrett 1. Forced fumbles, Jared Verse 5 to Myles Garrett 4. Now, this is on sportsreference.com, and it's interesting. They do this AV, so this approximate value, which is their attempt to put like a single number to every player during that whatever span you're looking at. So for this 2-year span, for each of these players, Jared Verse actually got a 22 approximate value. Myles Garrett, they gave him an 18. So obviously, Jared Verse's ability to make tackles and really rack up numbers in that category, along with the pressures he's able to generate on the quarterback, it's very impressive. Again, I guess I got to keep saying this. I hate that I feel like I got to say it. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that Jared Verse is Myles Garrett or will be Myles Garrett. Jared Verse even said this yesterday in his press conference. He said, I am not here to fill Myles Garrett's shoes. I am here to be the best version of myself. I love that. To hear that from a young kid who just had a tumultuous, turn in his career where he thought, hey, he's living in LA. He's got his best friends. He talked about this. His best friends out there were the guys on the D-line with him. Like, he hung out with those guys. He loved living in LA, loved the team, everything about the Rams, and then found out, oh, I'm getting traded. Just did not expect it to happen, obviously, like I said, because that kind of situation does not happen for players of his age and his caliber. But, he said, what was his quote yesterday? He said, you can either quit or you can either cry about it, or you can get back to work. And he said, I ain't no quitter. Okay. Love it. I love the kid's mentality. And I loved the mindset of, I'm not here to replace Myles Garrett. I am here to be the best version of me, of Jared Verse. So a couple other fun stats here to talk about. Total quarterback pressures since 2024 when Jared Verse entered the league. Number 1 on the list, Micah Parsons with 119 total pressures. Myles Garrett, number 2 with 109. And Jared Verse, number 3 in the entire NFL with 99. So just 10 fewer pressures than Myles Garrett, 20 fewer pressures than the leader, Micah Parsons. So like I said, he may not be a sack king like those other 2 guys, but can he get a pressure on the quarterback? You better freaking believe it. Yes, he can. So basically, since he came into the league, like I said, already been on par with these guys. His pass rush win rate was the 10th best in the entire league over the last 2 seasons, which is impressive because that includes being a rookie. You don't really expect all these rookies to come in and just be that dominant against NFL caliber linemen right off the bat, but Jared Verse definitely was. From 2024 to 2025, last 2 seasons, Jared Verse had 188 total pressures. That was the 6th most in the NFL. 17% pressure rate. Myles Garrett was at a 17.8%. 35 run stops, the 6th most. 20 quarterback hits, which is the 2nd most. He had an 8.3% run stop rate, an 88.1 pass rush rate, and 14 total sacks. Good friend of the show now, Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros. He posted this one among 129 qualifying edge players last year. Jared Verse was 3rd in hurries and 21st in pass rush win rate. This episode is sponsored by Butcher Box for Pets. Browns fans, Butcher Box for Pets has a deal you cannot pass up for your 4-legged family members. Right now, you get 50% off your first subscription order of the premium slow-cooked nutrition dog food or the premium fresh dog food. Just go to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. It can get confusing because we're the dogs, we love our fellow dogs, our Dog Pack members, and the Dog Pound faithful. But let's not kid ourselves. The most important dogs in our lives are, well, our dogs. And they're not just pets, like I said, they're part of the family. So the question is, what are you actually feeding them? At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by vet nutritionists to contain 0 artificial flavors or preservatives. I know our house wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden retriever who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog. Absolute dumbest dog in the world, but we love him like crazy. And it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of those factory processed blocks from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to add dog food to your shopping list ever again. ButcherBox delivers their high-quality food right to your door. Just choose the delivery schedule that you need for your dog, and you can change, modify, pause, or cancel your plan at any time. So try it out today. Your dog will love you for upgrading their meal times. ButcherBoxForPets.com/dogs and use promo code DOGS, DAWGS, to get 50% off. That's right, half off your first subscription order of the premium slow-cooked nutrition fresh dog food or the premium fresh dog food. Minimum purchase of just $34. 50% discount applies to subscription orders only. One use per customer, and you can cancel at any time. ButcherBoxForPets.com/dogs. Browns fans, we just partnered with Fanatics to bring you guys the best Browns gear available. Head over to brownsmerch.com to check out everything in our storefront. I know you guys want that new Shedeur Sanders #2 jersey. We've got those in there. Rock the Depoy and the D-Roy jerseys with Myles Garrett and Carson Swessinger, along with the other studs from last year's draft. We've got a collection of Browns hats, T-shirts, and hoodies you can browse through too. Again, that's brownsmerch.com to check out our Browns gear powered by Fanatics. So again, I know I repeated some of those stats and they ranked differently, and it's all based on who you're reading the stats from and where they're getting them from. If you're using PFF or Stat Profiler or some of these other outlets, True Value, I think, what is it? Is it True Value? I forget. Whatever, these different media outlets that, you know, do the stat tracking and all that, they just track them differently. They have them ranked differently. It's just the way it is. So this is a conglomerate of information and statistical output from different sources, but it all leads me to the one point, and the only thing that matters is that the Browns got a freaking damn good player in Jared Verse. It sucks losing Myles Garrett, guys. I hate it. I hate it. But, you know, if you guys have been watching this show since March, you know I have been saying rather gingerly, because there's some people out there that just, they couldn't handle hearing it, and that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody. Like, I totally understand. It's not a fun thing to think about your favorite team trading your favorite player, one of the best players in the entire league. But I've been telling you guys since March, when they moved that bonus date, I'm not saying, I never said it was going to happen, but I kept reminding you guys it was very, very possible. The reality of trading Myles Garrett was real. And it came to fruition on Monday. And like I said at the top of the show, this trade had been talked about for months. And the basic framework and foundation for the trade had probably already been in place since March. So, you know, the Browns, it sucks, guys. It does. It sucks that the Browns aren't better, like I said earlier. But when you swing and miss as badly as you did on Deshaun Watson and really crippled your team for multiple seasons, the way they've rebounded and restocked this team with not just youth, but good players, man. Just dogs. Good football players, good young guys. It's encouraging. As a Browns fan, you've got to be encouraged despite losing Myles Garrett. He was in a, you know, you gotta almost look at it like a stock market. You got an asset, right, that is at its absolute highest value. This asset will not go any higher in value. It's also not helping your portfolio right now. So you can just hang on to it because you're like, oh, it's just such a highly valued asset. I love this one. It's not helping you. Or you can trade it, get a whole bunch of stuff for it to help strengthen your portfolio and hopefully help it grow more over the next year or two. So I don't know, guys. It's just kind of the way I'm looking at it. It was kind of a no-brainer. And again, timelines didn't match up, but getting Jared Verse back in the deal for me was huge, huge, huge. And I still cannot get over the people out there that are upset that we didn't get a 2028 or 2029 first round pick and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I cannot believe you would rather have some unknown random draft pick 2 years from now instead of a proven, known, ascending stud now. The hell wouldn't you want that? Blows my mind. But we got a good player in return for Myles Garrett plus 3 draft picks on top of it, one of them being a first-round pick. And people wanted the 2028 first-round pick. Well, we got their second-round pick. And again, do the Rams project to be Super Bowl favorites? Yes, I believe so. I would definitely be putting my money on them if I was betting on anybody to win the Super Bowl here next year. But remember, I said this the other night. You know, when the Falcons traded their future, what was it, in 2024? Yeah, it was 2024. No, sorry, it's 2025. In 2025, they traded their 2026 first-round pick to the Rams to get, the edge rusher. I can't even think of his name now, in the draft that year. They were expecting to be good. You know, they were expecting to be a playoff team. And, okay, well, they can have next year's first round pick because it's going to be a late round pick anyway. We need this edge rusher now. Well, then the Falcons took a giant dump on the season and ended up having the 13th overall pick. Oh, but the Rams had it. So you just never know. I mean, you're one Matthew Stafford injury away from having a top 15 pick or, you know, something in that range. Not wishing for injury, I'm just telling you the reality of the NFL. You just never know what you have. That's why future draft picks are nice to acquire, but you don't know what they're going to be. They could be late, they could be early, whatever. But you can get a good player right now that you know. You don't have to guess. You don't have to hope he develops into some guy that's going to be good for your team. You know he's good. Good job, Andrew Berry, for getting Jared Verse. I got to give you that for sure. So real quick, last couple things. I went over here to PFF just to pull up some stuff. 81.3 overall pass rush grade for Jared Verse. That was the 14th highest in the entire league. So he was a top 15 guy in that category. As far as like over here on PFF, his pass rush win rate. Let's see, where is Jared Verse? They've got him at a 16.1%. Your leader last year was Will Anderson Jr. at 25.5, Myles Garrett at 24.6. So Jared Verse pass rush win rate, a little bit lower, but I mean, still, this is what would that put him? A 16th best? But then when you sort by like QB hits, 27. Number 1, Jared Verse with, like I said, 27 QB hits. Hurries, let's see, he had 64, which was tied for third most with Aiden Hutchinson. Pressures, that's what I want to do. I just want to get to total. There it is. Total pressures. Jared Verse, 100 total pressures, tied for second with Aiden Hutchinson and Josh Hines-Allen. The only guy higher was Will Anderson with 102. You had Myles Garrett at 84 total pressures in 2025. Again, Jared Verse, number 2 with 100. So the impact that Myles Garrett brought to the defense and put, you know, the way offenses had to game plan specifically for him, all that kind of stuff, you can't replace that. That's one-of-one type stuff right there. But did we get somebody that's going to be collapsing pockets and putting the fear of God in quarterbacks' eyes? You better believe it. Yes, we did. So very excited about getting Jared Verse. After going through everything, I already love the guy just from watching him. sporadically. Like just when the Rams were on, I'd watch and say, damn, this Jared Verse kid is freaking good. Well, now I go back through, look at the stats and all the information. Oh, and to go back to the 0-star recruit thing, before I forgot about it. Carson Schlesinger, right? 0-star recruit, walk on at UCLA, worked his way up to becoming, an All-American and leading the nation in tackles and all that kind of stuff to being Defensive Rookie of the Year. Pretty interesting that he's the Defensive Rookie of the Year right after the last Defensive Rookie of the Year was also a 0-star recruit, worked his way up into D1, got himself drafted in the first round, all that kind of stuff. So you've got two guys here in Carson Schlesinger and Jared Verse who are workers. They are going to go out every day. They're going to work their asses off. They're going to give you 110% of whatever they got left in the tank at all times. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds for this Browns defense, for this Browns team. We got, OTAs just wrapped up the other day. I'm kind of running out of some time here. I don't want to go too long. But I'll hit you guys up with the OTA report from this week. We'll do an episode here maybe over the weekend sometime. Recapping OTAs. They're obviously done now. And next week will be mandatory minicamp, followed by the summer break, where we don't see anybody or get any NFL news until training camp opens toward the end of July. But it's been a fun spring. It's been a fun off season. As a Browns fan, you have to roll with the punches. You got to realize that until this team actually enters a true go try to win it all now type of window, these types of moves, unfortunately, are always on the table and always possible. So for everybody, again, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but anybody out there listening, watching that you were of the mindset of the Browns would never trade Myles Garrett. It's impossible. They'd be stupid to do it. They would never do it. It's never going to happen. You're going, Brad, I know it was you, buddy. You all the time, man. You would always say, oh, this is just rage bait, bull crap. Anytime anybody, not just us, but anytime anybody would talk about, I see you going back and forth with Ken Carman. Don't think I don't see you, Brad. I see you, buddy, going back and forth with Ken Carman on Twitter about rage baiting everybody with these Myles Garrett trade rumors. Tried to tell you guys. It wasn't rage bait. It wasn't clickbait. It wasn't just trying to create content for the sake of content. This is a real situation, and we all need to be prepared if it happens. So I love you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following the show. And let me know in the comments, how are you feeling now, like 3 days removed from the Myles Garrett trade? Do you feel better about what the Browns got in return? Do you still feel like it wasn't enough? Do you still feel like we shouldn't have moved him at all? Let me know what you guys think. I love hearing from you. As always, again, if you want to play fantasy football with us, now is the time. Get into the Dog Pack, sign up, register for fantasy football, go to jointhedogs.com. It's a great way, first of all, just to support the show on the Patreon. You get access to the private Discord channel or server and hang out with everybody in there. There's all kinds of different channels in there. We're revamping that all the time. Thank you, Nate. Shout out to Nate is the greatest. He is our Discord guru, the engineer behind everything that you see there. So just a great online community of Browns fans. And again, fantasy football signups are happening right now. As long as you're in the Dog Pack, you can sign up for fantasy football, reserve your spot. We will be drafting late August, early September, but the cutoff to register will be sometime probably mid-August. And like I said at the beginning of the show, leagues are already filling up very quickly. So get in now, sign up, don't wait. That way you won't have an issue getting in. Appreciate you guys. See you in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode. Let's go Browns.
It's in our blood, it's in our bones, orange and brown, yeah, we ride for our own like a dog pack running. We ain't alone, game day comes, get ready for the show. It's our call, it's our bark, it's our song. We stand tall, yeah, we've been here all along. Through it all, the dog pound standing strong. We all dogs, yeah, we all dogs. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Follow us on social media at the Dogs Podcast and join our Dog Pack community at jointhedogs.com. We are dogs!
This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/dogs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/dogs for $100 off your personal trainer certification.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.